I'm Steve Oliver. Welcome to the Vinyl Comedy Club. This week I'm going through this album from my collection. It is the Unrecorded Jasper Carrott, and this was I think this is the first stand-up album I've played on this show, but also probably one of the first ones I ever heard. It was in my parents' record collection, not this copy. I've got a couple of copies of this, and I heard this when I was a kid, and a lot of it didn't make a lot of sense to me. Some of it I found really funny, but a lot of it went over my head until I heard it much later. I've never actually seen this performance. I've only ever heard it. It was broadcast live on London Weekend Television in 1979, which I can't believe a comedian was given a live show. That certainly wouldn't happen nowadays. And I know obviously Jasper Carrott doesn't swear in his act on television, or on stage actually. I've seen him on stage as well, and he made a point actually on stage about when he was on TV, and he said that in those days you could say anything you liked as long as you didn't swear, and nowadays you can't say anything you like but you are allowed to swear, which is an interesting point. I don't know whether comedy's better or worse for it. I'm not a prude. I'm not against a comedian using the F's and C's if they do it properly. Billy Connolly's a great example of someone who can do it well, do it nicely. I'm sure if Jasper Carrott decided to say fuck on stage, he would do it properly, you know, he'd do it nicely. But a lot of comedians do substitute it for wit, which I'm not entirely on board with, but that's showbiz, isn't it? So yeah, this was broadcast live. I also remember him doing a show live in the late 80s, which I thought was Carrott's Lib, but it wasn't. That was too early. This will have been about 87, 88, maybe 89. On a Saturday night, he did a live topical show with some pre-recorded bits. That's Punt and Dennis were on it as well. I remember that. And he used to do the Australian character phoning his mum and all that sort of thing. I'm just going to adjust this camera again. Sorry. If you watched that on YouTube, you won't have seen my hand then, but there you go. So yeah, I remember him doing a live show, and again, I don't think any comedy goes out live now. I know they do the occasional live version of a sitcom or something like that, but that's a completely different thing altogether. So this was recorded during his relationship with London Weekend Television in the late 70s. He did an audience with Jasper Carrott, which was... when was that? That would have been 78, and that's what started the an audience with franchise, where they used to, I don't know, Kenneth Williams did one, Billy Connolly did a classic one, Peter Ustinov did one. A lot of really good comedians and storytellers did one, and then they ruined the franchise by I just dropped this record sleeve down there. They ruined the franchise by putting pop stars with an album to plug on, but there you go. That's what they did. But yeah, this also, again, it was broadcast live on ITV, so having not seen it, I've looked on YouTube. The complete concert isn't on YouTube, and I've never seen it on video or DVD or anything like that. I can't work out how logistically they did this live, because presumably there would have been advert breaks, unless it was at the interval, sort of like at the end of the first side of the album maybe, or I don't know. I know they didn't show as many adverts back then as they do now. And if you've ever been to a TV recording of a radio or TV comedy show, you'll know how quickly the joy gets sucked out of the room when they have to keep redoing things. So I don't know how pleasant this will have been for the audience, knowing that it was going out live. I'm not sure whether it would have enhanced it or not for them. But... we'll start, there's an introduction, and then there's a line where he references the Muppets, and that's actually down on the track listing as Muppets. And that's what got my attention when I was a kid, because I found this album in my parents' collection and wondered why he was talking about the Muppets, or whether they were on it or whatever. But it is disappointingly just one line, and then he goes into his routines. And his routines are kind of set pieces as well, like songs, which is interesting. I'll talk more about that in a bit, but we'll get started with the introduction, if I've queued this up right. Again, the lovely crackle.
Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Jasper Carrott.
big intro already, so he's already a big TV star by this point.
It's always been my ambition to perform with Katie Boyle. Come on, now behave yourselves now, it's a live show, right? And that's the royal box there, look, the royal box. Look like the Muppets or something. And just what it is, like people said, no, it's not really live, is it? And it is live, because look.
I didn't get this at first, and I didn't get this for a long time. There is one of the few bits of this show I could find on YouTube had this sequence on, and he's basically holding up a television set and flicking between the channels to prove that he is on live. And I will put when I put this on YouTube, I will put the link underneath because it will make this bit make more sense. There's a few bits on this. Every week I say, you know, these were made before people bought videos and DVDs of performances and TV shows and stuff. So obviously this is going to be a bit different. There's a few bits on this that don't make a lot of sense visually, but I've heard this album enough to just sort of paint the picture in my head, to be honest. This bit in particular I will link to underneath the YouTube video because it is a very funny sequence to watch, and I'd never seen it before until a couple of weeks ago when I tried to find it, but I wish the whole concert was on YouTube or available somewhere. If someone's got it on video or DVD, then please do let me know and I'll organise buying a copy of it off you. I know that's illegal, but we won't tell the place. And I would like to just see this because I've only ever heard this album, so, and a lot of his albums actually I've got, so.
That's BBC. Actually, she isn't a housewife. She's in fact a Russian spy, and she's the murderer. So if you're thinking of switching over, forget it. There's Shakespeare on side 2. He's dead, you know, Shakespeare. I didn't even know he'd been ill.
I still use that line.
On ITV, we've got... Interference! What's that? Oh, you didn't like the Katie board. Hang on a minute. There we are. The thing is, see, it's live. I can do whatever I want to do. I can say anything. I can't do anything. I only put that silly card. Normal service will be resumed as soon as possible. That's out because I've nicked it. So. I don't know whether you're into omens, right?
Again, I don't know whether... Sorry to keep stopping it and starting it, but I don't know how risky that... It says on the album, ITV certainly took a bit of a risk putting Jasper on the box live. I don't think it was a risk in Jasper's material, to be honest. I mean, you'd take a risk putting Chubby Brown on live, wouldn't you? But it's remarkable how tame this album sounds now by standards of only 40 years later. It's strange.
Can you have a second pair of trousers ready in the break? Thank you. It's gone. I couldn't believe this, was it? I knew it was going to be one of those days. This morning, really, you know, I thought, I'm going to the Theatre Royal, right, I'll have a bath. Right? And I was in the bath, like, you know, sort of, no one else is in the house. It's one of those odd jobs, you know, with Head and Shoulders shampoo. Can Gets rid of your dandruff, sends you blind, you know. And you got lovely hair. I wish I could see it.
Sorry.
So I was like playing with me duck and things, and something like this, ding ding, ding ding. I thought, there's no one in. Ding ding, really persistent. I thought, well, it's bound to be important, isn't it? It's bound to be important. So like I got out the bath and drowned rat, got my bathrobe on, ran down the stairs, opened up the door. Jehovah's Witnesses. Did I know the world was going to end next week? I thought it's going to end sooner than you think, mate.
Still anyway, okay with Jehovah's Witnesses jokes, aren't we? Somehow. I don't know how they slip through.
Well, it saves buying a watchtower, doesn't it? Blooming Fortums they are. And I always buy a watchtower when they call you. Well, you never know. I mean, they could be right, couldn't they? I mean, there's all these religions, and they could be right. You know, nothing like putting a sort of a good word in for you, is there? You know, Judgment Day, they could be sitting there, couldn't they? You know, like, oh, here he is, God. Oh, here he buys the watchtower. Yeah, last time he called, he gave us a flash. Do you ever wonder who's right? Do you ever wonder who's right? No, neither do I. You know, I mean, all these... Someone's got to be right, haven't they? Yeah. I hope it's the Mormons. Whip ready. Save me. Wouldn't be them, would it? Too much fun, innit? Probably be the Moonies or something. Oh dear. I mean, basically, it's a form of selling, isn't it? Door-to-door selling, like. And I used to be a salesman, you know. Thought you'd be impressed. I used to work for those people with the ring of confidence, you know. And I used to sell toothpaste. Yeah. And I used to work on this blitz team. I used to go around and blitz towns like Grimsby and things. And with a thing called Gleamo-Dent. Yeah, Gleamo-Dent. And it was a false teeth toothpaste. Which, well, it's going back about 12 years ago. And that was revolutionary. Gleamo-Dent was like revolutionary. Because, like, well, the only way you could clean false teeth about 12 years ago was in Sterident. Right? And well, you had to take him out first, obviously. Pointless sticking your head in a bowl or anything. You're coming to bed, Dale. And we had to go around all these shops, and they launched it in Anglia, TV area. And I remember going around Norwich and all around there. And we're going into all these shops. It was a complete failure. The product was a complete failure. We're going into all these shops saying, hey, this is fantastic, Gleamo-Dent! And all the shopkeepers going, It's like all shopkeepers have got false teeth, right? I mean, that's just a fact of life. You'll learn that. Next time you go, right? Don't they probably charge too much for the products or something? You know, oh, I ain't paying that, mate. We got into our sales, hey, this is fantastic, Gleamo-Dent, and like we were about halfway through it, and they all said the same thing. They all said, oh, you'll never sell that round here, mate. Hey? No, they all soak the teeth in Domestos round here. And then, I couldn't believe that. That is true all over the country. People clean their false teeth in Domestos. Can you imagine putting teeth in your mouth after putting Domestos all in? You'd walk around smelling like a bog, wouldn't you? People who keep running out and spraying you with dot. Isn't TV a strange thing? Doesn't it rule your lives, don't you think? Yes. Yeah, good. I mean, basically, when it comes down to it, like, what you've got to do is entertain a lump of metal. Yeah, that's it, isn't it? I mean, and you need a lot of experience, you know, which I'm very fortunate in having. Oh, for years I was performing in front of that camera there outside C&A. The only trouble is you have to queue up to get on, don't you? Has the C&A in London got a camera outside, is it? No, oh. I suppose you nick stuff in London. Do nick stuff? No, I'm from St John's Wood. Well, they nick stuff in Birmingham, which is what they got a camera outside. You know, people keep lifting the paving slabs. And the C&A in Birmingham has just got cameras hanging from the ceiling everywhere. If I'm feeling a bit mean, I'll go in on a Saturday morning when it's busy, you know, go up to the pen and pencil counter and go... All the store detectives come
Again, that bit didn't really work on audio, did it?
Back, you know? Jolly wheeze, you know. And well, I mean, what is strange, like you get some like a sweet counter there, you know, like, and they've got about 4 cameras on the sweet counter, you know, about £250,000 worth of cameras guarding 20 quid's worth of Smarties. TV. I once did Top of the Pops, you know. You know, I don't know, Jasper Carrott on Top of the Pops. It's a bit like Vera Lynn doing the old grey whistle test, isn't it? I had a few illusions shattered when I did that, you know, because, like, I mean, you know, I was an avid Top of the Pops watcher, you know, like, and you think it's a really swinging place, don't you? And it's not, they only allow 30 kids into the studio, you know, like, they rope them together. Wherever the camera goes, they yank these kids.
That's actually partly true.
And I was a Pan's people freak, you know. Yeah, 7:10 every Thursday. And when I did it, I met them live. They're only that high.
That, talking about being on Top of the Pops, it was with the song Funky Moped, which I played on the live stream before the show started. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you do miss things by not watching it live. There you go. Just so you know.
Oh, do you know about them? Oh, I think we better cut the next 10 minutes. Oh. Well, just in case you don't know, now all it is, I'm just trying to introduce a word into the English language, which is zit, right? And it's, yeah, I got it in America, right? And it's American slang for our spot. Or pimple. You know, really dull word. I'm going to spot. This pimple there. Look at that shit! You know, and then...
People still
you
say
can't resist them. One's on the forehead, the best thing. Here's your mum saying, don't touch your spots just without spreading. No, Mum. So basically, if you can, just, my ambition is to obliterate the word spot from the dictionary. So if you go about your work and your pleasure and things, if you come across spot, right, put zit in its place, and let's see if we can get it, yes. Some places it's working, like on the south coast, I did a bit of a tour, and they really went for it down there. It's, oh yeah, like they put the football on the penalty zit, and there's competitions in the paper like Zit the Ball. You get puddings like Zitted Dick. It's great. Katie Zit. Do they let you bring your drinks in? Don't they? You miserable devils. Let them bring the drinks in. Shame.
This bit doesn't really work on. He's obviously just had a drink.
I've got this mole, you know. Right. It's making a hell of a mess of my garden.
Before we go into this is one of Jasper Carrott's classic pieces. And I found, when I was trying to find this whole concert on YouTube, I actually found a cartoon version of this, which had been done by London Weekend Television. So I'm not entirely sure why they did it, but it must have been on one of his shows, or whether they did it as a standalone piece or what. But there is a cartoon of this, which I will put a link to underneath. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'll put it under there. And this is one of his classic routines. I'm going to talk about his routines a bit at the end of this side. I think just before we go into the next one, is there's a couple more sections to go, and then and on side 2, the Nutter on the Bus. That's another one of his classic pieces. So we'll get into that. But I'm going to try not to interrupt this one because this is brilliant. It's
strange, because like I bought a house out in the country about a couple of years ago, and I inherited this mole. Right. And like, well, being Birmingham born and bred, you know, well, you don't come across a lot of moles in Birmingham. To be like, found a mole in Birmingham, they'd eat it. You know? And then we bought this house, like, and this mole has driven me mental. I tell you, like, if ever I cup hold of it, I'll bury it alive. I tell you. The mess they make, it's like I spend hours on my lawn rolling it and cutting it, you know, and getting it all level, and you wake up next morning like zits all over your lawn. And I've tried everything to get rid of it. Well, the thing is, I mean, first of all, you think, oh, mole, get rid of the mole. So you go along to the hardware shop and you say, can I have a mole trap? Sensible. And they sell it you with one of those knowing he'll be back smiles, you know. And you give them like a no, I won't. And the mole trap's like a big metal thing, you know. And you have to and you have to bait it with worms. Yeah. I use spaghetti, hope they wouldn't notice the difference. So I got this trap and baited it with worms and things, and I put it into the run and covered it all over. And the mole came along, right, and ate all the worms and shoved the trap out the way. That's not playing the game, is it, really? And I tried it for about 4 or 5 months, you know, like, and like the mole just got immense. Like, stopped digging because I was feeding him all the bloody worms. So I went back to the hardware shop and he gave me his, and he sold me a box of fireworks, right? And called mole smoke. Yeah, and they're like Roman candles, you see. And like what you do, you light the end, and you stick it down the hole, you see. Like and the smoke, which is heavier than air, lies in the run, is poisonous and kills the mole. No, it doesn't. The moles love them. Oh, you can hear them. I've got a purple one. And after a while, you develop a mole twitch, you know, like have you got a mole? And people have got these loopy ideas how to get rid of moles and things, and they always start, the thing is, you're such a mental state, you accept them all, you know, they always start off by saying, like, there's only one way to get rid of a mole. So I was there, and this bloke says, there's only one way to get rid of a mole. He says, you've got to shove garlic and mothballs down the holes. They don't like the smell. Really? Yeah, it never fails. So I was there, 4 ton of the stuff. They ate the lot completely. Oh, immense. Bigger mole hills, you know. This other bloke comes, he said, there's only one way to get rid of a mole. He says, you've got to buy those little wooden windmills from Woolworths. What?
There's an old reference.
Yeah, and I don't know, you know, those long wooden stick things, and it's got a plastic bit on the end which whirs round in the wind. He says, and you get one of them, He says, you stick it down the middle of the molehill till the end gets in the hole. He said, and when the wind sends the wordy bit round, it vibrates the stick and the noise scares the mole away. I stood for it. I had 200 of them in my lawn. First gust of wind blew the fence down. Boom. So it was just a while. When I finally gave up, it was a while ago. And I was in the local boozer, you know, and I was in the bar here, all the yokels coming in. I was having a pint, and this bloke came in, you see, and he came to me. He said, "Here, I hear you got a mole." You know, there's only one way to get rid of a mole. Blow its bloody head off. I said, what sort of... He said, no, with a 12-bore. I said, I've never seen the thing. How am I going to shoot it? He said, oh, cost you a night's sleep, mind. Yeah. He said, yeah, what you've got to do? He says, you've got to stay up all night in your garden. He said, when it's quiet, Moley likes it nice and quiet. He starts digging. When he starts digging, he starts throwing his earth up on your lawn. When he's doing that, he's only half an inch from the top. Get your old 12-bore, line it up. Boom! Deader. I said, it never fails? Never fails. I said, right, where can I get a 12-bore? He said, oh, you can borrow mine for a fiver. Yeah, okay. So he came round, this was on a Sunday, strangely enough. And he bought this great big 12-bore and a great big box of cartridges, like enough to do a bank raid, you know. And so it's at 11 o'clock, right, 11 p.m. on a Sunday night. And there I was, I got this great big 12-bore, and I'd strapped a torch to the barrel. Clever, huh? So I stuck this torch to the barrel, really, and I got a revolving stool, you know, and I was there. And all the neighbours are watching him. What's he doing? I don't know. Imitating a lighthouse. I was there, like, it was about 3 a.m. in the morning, you know, like I'm on this stool. And suddenly I heard and there was this earth coming out on top of my lawn, about 5 yards ahead. I got me 12-bore. Bye-bye, Molly. The thing is, I know this sounds stupid now, but I'd never fired a 12-bore in my life. Boom! I'd flew 10 yards off my stool and shot all the apples out my tree. I was furious. I was possessed. I was in... Baboon! 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 Come here, you little basket! Baboon! Baboon! The garden was like a song. Baboon! 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 There was this blue flashing light. These two coppers standing there like... What are you doing, Carrott? Mole catching! So they wandered over, you know, and I took him inside for a drink. Always popular, that. And the one guy was very sympathetic because he'd had a mole. And he sort of said, he understood, you know, carry on, but like, be quiet. Bloody great 12-bore. So now I'm looking for a 12-bore with a muffler. You can help out. But they send you bonkers. They really. Oh. I mean, it's there now. Digging. my garden. But they've got me beetroots now. What's on tonight? Beetroot? Oh, great. I love beetroot. It's not as good as mothball and garlic, is it? And then fireworks, we can see what we're doing there. Bloody noisy up there the other night, wasn't it, mate? Someone's nicked me harmonica. Isn't it? This equipment is fantastic, isn't it? I mean, like,
New routine.
the thing is, this is all fairly recent for me. For years, I had to use those big BBC cast iron microphones, like big Victory V lozenges. Remember, they used to read the news and you could never see who it was. The thing is, when the BBC got rid of them, they sold a great big job lot to all the working men's clubs in this country. See, and there's a technique in using them, and no one's ever found it, except the BBC. That's why all working men's clubs mics sound the same. So,
That's true, actually.
oh, it's bloody mic, eh?
I'll get your ring off, boy. I'll get your ring off, boy. Hot passes outside, isn't it? What is it? There's cheese rolls, ham rolls, casseroles, missiles, outside.
There's half a ton of gob in here. It's rock groups that have brought on all this stuff, really. I mean, can you imagine if rock groups had to use those great big cast iron BBC ones? Can you imagine Led Zeppelin, da-da-da-da-da.
I don't really know what's going on here.
Cocaine would be out, wouldn't it? They'd all be on anabolic steroids. Music is amazing, isn't it? And is punk rock in or out? Does anybody know that? No, it's these things come and go so quick, don't they? Like, some people say it's in, some people say it's out. But the thing is, if punk rock's out, people are going to lose fortunes, aren't they? Like a mate of mine is a toy manufacturer, right? He's got a warehouse full of Cindy dolls that vomit. You want to see his action, man?
Side one of the album done. So yeah, again, what I was saying about just before the mole routine is how Jasper Carrott's routines are all set pieces, and I imagine that most of his stage act is scripted. I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I just imagine that it's mostly written down, and someone like Billy Connolly's once said that he doesn't write anything down, he just has a few points in his head, and I think Ricky Gervais the same, they just go out with a basic idea and build a show around it. But I do feel that this show is written as such, But it's not the worst for it, is it? I mean, it's still a great show. But that set piece thing where he does like he goes into like he went straight into the mole from Zits and all that sort of thing. I remember I've got a DVD somewhere in that side of the room in somewhere that was an anniversary concert that Jasper Carrott did at some point, maybe in the early 2000s or somewhere like that, and it was a greatest hits, and he'd had a vote on like a fan vote on what routines they wanted to hear, presumably by post or something, because it was before social media and all that sort of thing. But he did all these old routines, and the audience were treating it like it was his greatest hits. You know, like he would say, when you're on a bus, does the nutter get on the bus? And the audience went apeshit. Like that was the opening riff of Satisfaction or something like that. The audience just knew exactly what they were going to get. And it was weird to watch, because you don't get that in comedy a lot. You don't... Stand-up comedians especially have to be quite quick on getting new routines and stuff, especially when stuff's been committed to a recording as well. But yeah, and that was 79. I don't. When did people start buying videos with things already on them? Because even now it still seems strange to have comedy albums, especially some of the things I've played so far on this series. But and Jasper Carrott recorded a lot of albums, and they've all got some of them have got vaguely the same material on, but in a different way. I mean, if it's part of a tour or something. But I remember the live comedy thing. It must have been the late 80s, early 90s when videos of comedians came in. I mean, people like Chubby Brown and Jimmy Jones and people like that who couldn't get on TV but had a big audience, started releasing videos, and then everyone started doing it. All sorts of comedians did it, and that became part of the schedule. You know, you'd do a tour, and the tour would end with a DVD release or a video release, and then the next year you'd get a new show. So not entirely. I reckon it was about late 80s, early 90s when that started, and it's probably ended now as well, because most people do Netflix specials, don't they? But anyway, this is side 2, and the routine. This is the only routine that kind of dated. A lot of this album does stand up a lot, but this is kind of dated. It's called Local Radio Presenters, and it goes on about listening to different radio stations in different parts of the country, which I don't think would happen nowadays, because you've all just got one homogenised Capital FM playing the same 6 songs on a loop. But this is a good routine though. So I presume this was the interval, and that's probably when they put the adverts on, isn't it? I don't know.
Oh dear, cheers. If anything else goes, let me know, will you? Being in London's given me a chance to listen to Capital Radio. All right. Yes, very clever. Yeah. Sit back in your chair and we'll plug it in.
I've used that line on stage before.
Local radio is becoming really big business, isn't it? I mean, like there's another 20 new local stations to hit the country soon. And maybe, I know a lot of you from sort of different parts of the country. And there's sort of 2 types of local radio, right? There's the sort of the BBC ones, and yes, and there's the commercial ones, all those silly adverts, you know, if it's safe in water, it's safe in Lux. Not for my golfers, it's not, but I mean... What is strange, you know, I mean, I travel around the country and listen to all these radio stations, so I love local radio. And what is strange, you find that each commercial station, right, wherever you are, each commercial station tends to sort of throw up its own local personality.
Not anymore.
Yes,
There he is!
And you hear some amazing things, really. I mean, as you travel around, because like sort of the IBA, that's the Independent Broadcasting Association, tend to be sort of a little bit sort of easier going with them, you know. And in Manchester, there's a thing called Piccadilly Radio, right? And oh, there's always one, isn't there? I'd take her out, mate. She's almost ready there. Never going to get through this, are we? There used to be a bloke who used to a DJ on Piccadilly called James Stanage, right? And this guy was amazing, and he was the best listened to DJ on Piccadilly radio. But the thing is, he had this really late night show to do it. He had a show from 11 p.m. through till 2 a.m. in the morning, right? And he used to get the best listening figures of the day, like hundreds of thousands of people used to sit up and listen to this loon on the other end. The thing is, he was totally outrageous. The first time I ever heard him, this is a true story, right? I was working in Wigan, right? I was doing oral rugby club.
Wigan is always funny.
Nothing funny about Wigan. Well, there is, but forget it. And it was a late night do, and I drove home afterwards, and to get from Wigan to Bromley, you use the M6, you see. So, like, I'm belting down the M6, and it's 1 o'clock in the morning, right? And I'm bypassing Manchester, and I know nothing about Piccadilly radio or James Stanage or anything. And, like, 1 o'clock, like, I was going through my radio dial, right? And I was trying to find anything that was English, right? 1 o'clock in the morning, there's naff all on, isn't there? You finally find an English song, you think, oh, great, at the end of it, you hear, Heinz Fine and Heidelberg. So, right, I'm belting down, right, and suddenly I come across this Mancunian accent, you see, and I thought, it's very odd, 1 a.m. And it was this James Stanage. He said, well, welcome back after the news. He said, it's James Stanage here, Piccadilly Radio. He says, we're going to do thousands of requests tonight. We've got hundreds of requests to get through tonight. He said, then we've got loads of requests from Salford University up in North Manchester there. He said, we're going to do a few requests for them. And the first one is for a girl called Peggy Walker. And she'd like a song for her boyfriend, Freddie the Farter. I thought I was into a police wave band or something. And I couldn't believe what was coming out, this radio. I tell you, and I stayed on the hard shoulder for the rest of the show. Yeah. And I was like, people would phone up going, hello, James, I was wondering if I could have a request for my auntie. She's 73 tomorrow. I go, oh, sod off, you boring old cow. About 24 cars on the hard shoulder listening to this. Amazing. And I found out who he was, and he was wonderful. I used to drive up from Birmingham to Manchester to listen to him. Birmingham has a wonderful character, He's world famous in Birmingham. He really is. Birmingham has a station called BRMB, which is a community station. And there's a bloke on there who does the sport called Tony Butler. And it's difficult. It's difficult to describe him, really. He's so bad. He's brilliant. I can't make it. But for instance, he does football predictions, right? And he's 100% wrong. Football teams have told me they sit in front of the set 2:45 on a Saturday afternoon waiting for the Butler prediction, you know. If he predicts them to win, that's it. They don't bother to get changed. He does a wondrous show on a Saturday, really. And it goes from 2 p.m. through till 7 p.m. on a Saturday afternoon. It's all sport. And as you know, if you listen to a lot of local radio, they do a tremendous amount of phone-ins, right? And Butler does an immense amount of it. But the thing is, he's a very controversial character and tends to sort of have a go at people, and people phone him up and disagree with him. To such a degree, they've had to introduce a 4-second delay on the transmission. Right? So what happens is he does the phone call with the guy, it goes onto a piece of tape, right, it's a long piece of tape, 4 seconds later it hits the head and you hear it. And the engineer that's listening's got 4 seconds to get the obscenities out. And he does it by interjecting the jingle, which goes, BRMB Radio. And it's fascinating on a Saturday, you're listening to him and he's on the line there. Right, it's back to the lines and it's Brian on line 4, coming Brian on line 4. Hello, Tone, I'd just like to say I think you ought to shove that microphone right up your Everyone in Birmingham is praying for the engineer to miss. And he gets lovely people phoning him in, particularly on Saturday, like after the games, they do, hello, Tone! What about the Villa then, eh? Yeah, what about him? Thanks, Tone. Hello, Tone, I was down the Villa today and they were magic. Andy Gray hit this one ball, if he'd have gone in the net, it'd have been a goal. Competitions for me. This week's competition, it's for 2 free tickets for last year's cup final. What are Trevor Francis's initials? It's a tough one this week, isn't it? Hello, Tone, is it 1968? Yeah, you've won, you're the nearest. It's a true story, a true Butler story. It was when, a couple of seasons ago, Albion were doing very well. And they had a very good chance of going up into the First Division. And everyone knew they were going up to the First Division in Birmingham anyway, because Butler predicted them to go down. And they came towards the end of the season. They had to play Oldham, right? And they went up to Oldham. If they beat Oldham, they would go up into the First Division. And Butler gets one of his henchmen to cover the game because it's very important, and God knows where he gets these people from at all. I think he pops out into the street and says, hey, you! Do you want to go up to Oldham? Okay. So he sends this geezer up called Harry Tathui and he keeps doing reports for you over the phone. Now, this is Harry Tathui, BRMB Radio, and the Albion are playing very well. Back to you, Tone. End of the game came, the Albion had won 1-0, right? And so they got to do something special. So Tony gets hold of Harry off here. He says, Harry, he said, do something special. Go and get one of the Albion players. We'll do an interview over the lines. All right. He went, right, Tone. So he toddled away. He came back. He said, hello, Tone. Yes, Harry. He says, I've got John Osborne, the Albion goalkeeper. He's going to do an interview with me. All right. He went, right, stick with him, Harry. He says, after the break, I'll announce it. So they play the commercial break. After the commercial break, Tony's there. What a fantastic day this is for West Bromwich Albion. They smashed Oldham 1-0 and hammered their way into the First Division, like what I predicted. Well, almost. And as it's a special day for the Albion, our man at the match, Harry Tathui, is talking to none other than the Albion goalkeeper, John Osborne. Come in, Harry! 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 Hello, Tone. Tone is pissed off. When you're on a bus...
Here we go. Hang on. This is a classic routine, and there's a bit of this that me and my dad still actually reference every now and again, and when we get to it, I'll tell you what it is.
On the bus. Does the nutter sit next to you? The nutter always sits next to me, do you know that? Why is that? Why do I always get the nutter? I'm the same as everyone else. It happened the other day, I was on the top deck of the bus and minding my own business. Bus stopped, a couple of people get on, starts off. Then you could hear the nutter coming up the stairs. Has anyone seen my camel? please, God, don't let the nutter sit next to me. I bought a watchtower, please. Everybody starts stretching out on the seats, don't they? If I'm on the bus, no problem, they'll spot me. Must have this aura above my head, nutter lover, you know? Is this anyone's seat? No. Oh, good. You can hear the visible sighs of relief from everyone else on the bus. Oh, thank God he's got the nutter. I thought I was in for that one, you know. It's a camel job, they're the worst, aren't they? Nutters love showing you things, don't they? Hey, I've got an atom bomb here. Corned beef tin, you know.
That's the way. Whenever, if me and my dad are travelling anywhere, and someone, I don't suppose you're allowed to say nutter on the bus now, but if anyone starts behaving this way, we will always fight to be the first one to say, I bet he's got a corned beef tin, he's going to show someone in a minute.
So everybody else can enjoy it then, can't they? What's he got? He's got a corned beef tin! Have you paid your fare? Yes, here are my tickets. Oh, good. Rip, 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 rip. I love weddings. They never let you get off either, do they? Excuse me? No. Been 3 days on a bus with a nutter sometimes. It's that loser thing, isn't it? You know, I reckon everyone loses
Into
some
the
way,
next routine,
you know, in life. Like you always find out when you're like, you know, basically in your early days how you're going to lose through life. Like I'm always the mug job. My school days were tortured, all blue goldfish and, you know. Yeah, you know, you've seen the blue goldfish, you know, no, and then, well, it's in that bog down, and you go, ooh. The first time I ever played rugby, right, true story, and I moved from junior school to senior school, and when I moved, right, I was a football freak, but like the new school played rugby, right, and didn't know anything about it at all, and all the first formers were in the same boat because we'd all played football, like, and the new school it was rugby, and we're getting changed. First, sort of, second day, they had to get changed for rugby. We were all in the dressing room getting changed, and they're like, and that was an event because you never had to change in front of anybody in the juniors, did you? I mean, like you could wear your football shorts over your trousers, couldn't you? You got to get your bags in. Well, not so bad. You know. A bit of bragging there. And I was getting changed, you know, and a couple of prefects came in and they started wandering around, you know, and they came up to me, you see. They said, you played rugby before, mate? No. Ooh, turn off a rough sport, you know. Is it blood, guts, gore? You need plenty of protection. Have you bought any protection? No. I mean, you ought to be wearing a box. Have you got a box? No. And they just happened to have one with them, didn't they? Well, they would do, wouldn't they? And they explained it all to me, you know. Like, and I walked onto the rugby pitch. First time I'd ever played the game in front of all the first formers, the masters and the prefects. I've got this cricket box on my nose. Seemed perfectly logical to me. Thought it smelt a bit, you know. I thought, hello, I wonder where he's at his nose. It's that loser thing. I've never had that ability to chat the opposite sex. I don't know. If you're a bloke, right, you either can or you can't, you know. Like, and if you can't, you always end with the blokes that can, and if you can, well, you never really appreciate it, do you? Really? And And it's, I mean, I've got some friends, you know, and they're fantastic, never fail. You know, one is incredible, just sort of walks into a bar and there'll be a girl surrounded by a rugby team, you know, just sort of walk up and go, hello there. What are you doing here? Looking for someone like you. I've tried that, hello there. What are you doing here? Oh, piss off. And I used to try really hard, you know, I used to go to all these parties and like really try, like, and this bloke gave me a book, How to Score at a Party, right? And I read it and basically it said, go round and grin at everybody. I was like that, hi there, 4 hours, hello. Not a light. I went home at the end of the evening, I looked in the bathroom mirror, I've got this great big piece of green cabbage stuck between me two. Walking round the whole evening, hello there. What's he got between his teeth? It's like a piece of spinach to me. It's too green for spinach. Look. Well, I don't know, maybe his nose is running. Oh, I don't know how much we're doing for time. I just wanted to say thank you, right? And thank you very much. Good night.
That's the end of the broadcast that's the end of the live broadcast that went out on TV, and he comes back for an encore which is only on the album, and it's a track called Explosive Gases. And this, unbelievably, was once, even in 1979, was considered, they say it was considered too dodgy to put on TV, but I'm not sure that's the case. I'm pretty certain it was just because of time that they didn't put this on TV, because it's about the ability to set light to your farts, and you can hear the word fart on children's TV now, and I'm fairly certain at the time it wasn't that much of a broadcasting standards issue to say the word fart. I'm fairly certain that was used to big up the album rather than ITV wouldn't let him broadcast this, and obviously for time as well, because it was an hour long. We've been running, just over an hour we've been running. So the show was an hour, so obviously time constraints for a thing. Which again is good, because Jasper Carrott does, like I said, work on set pieces. You can see where one routine ends and one routine picks up. But to say that this wasn't allowed on TV, I think is a bit of an exaggeration. I know standards have changed, and I know things have loosened a bit with regards to language and stuff, but I'm not sure. I think this was just a marketing ploy, to be honest. But it is a very funny routine, and we're going to get this now. This is the encore.
God, I'm going to do that again. That is it, I think. Is that it? We're all off, and that's it. We can say what we like. Actually, we've had the arguments we've had is we've had these discussions like you can have one fart if you cut out 3 bloodies. Did you know you could set light to a fart? That's an amazing statement when you first hear it, isn't it? Like, I got into it about 3 years ago, you know. Yeah. I was at this party having a few drinks, and this bloke says, hey, there's Addy. He sets light to his farts, you know. Come on. No, he went and got this Haddy, and this Haddy was ever so indignant if you questioned his ability. Oh, no messing, straight down with his trousers, out with the swan vestas, and brunk.
One sec.
That really impressed me. I was eating beans for about a week. It's not as easy as it looks either, you know. It's like timing, you've got to get the timing, you know. beware, because we went to another party about 6 months later, and Harry was there, you know, and he was trying to impress these couple of birds. Some people have the most obscure ones. Anyway, he overdid it a bit, and he had a blowback. He was a big Eddie dude. He was in agony. We were really concerned. Stop it, Eddie! And he couldn't sit down. He was in agony. We had to get him to hospital. He couldn't get in the car. This bloke had a station wagon, so we had to bundle him in the back of his station wagon and stick his bum out the window. The station wagon heading off towards hospital with 4 blokes in hysterics and a big singed bum stuck out. People's faces were amazing. Look at that, Agnes. Good heavens, yes. You must have set light to a fart. People who know and people who don't, aren't they? And we got stopped by this copper who didn't, right? And the singed bum 70 mile an hour, he's got to have that, hasn't he? Right, what's going on here? It's Harry, he said, like, we had this big argument about whether you could or you couldn't, you know. In the end, he had to get through to his sergeant on his walkie-talkie. Hello, Sergeant. It's Perkins here. Can you set light to a fart? A fart. No, I haven't been drinking, no. That's it, a rip snorter, aye. Oh, well, I've never heard of it either. No, well, there's a bloke done his bumming with one here. We got to the hospital, it was absolute chaos. 4 of us, a leg and an arm apiece, carrying him into the casualty ward, you know. Having a bit of sympathy for him by this time, like, it's a shame, Harry, yes. It was a blooming good in mind. Daffodils never stood a chance. We're in the casualty ward, this big matron came out, 6'2", like a bag of starch. Yes? I want to tell her, no, please let me tell her. She sort of stood there and said, has he set light to a fart?
That seems like a peculiar ending. He didn't even sort of say goodbye or anything like that. So I do wonder if that was just an editing thing for the album, because I would have loved to have seen this. If this show is available on video or DVD, then someone please let me know, because I would love to see it rather than just listen to it. I've only ever heard this before. Like I said, there's a few clips on YouTube which I will link to underneath on the video description. But yeah, fantastic. And like I said, it's strange that that routine, and what he said just towards the end as well, what he said about you can have what, 1 fart if you miss out 2 bloodies or something like that, which just goes to show how standards change. Because I remember reading, it must have been in a book about, it might have been Bob Monkhouse's autobiography who commented on it, and he said that, you know, you weren't even allowed to say bloody on stage at one point, which goes to show how not only how standards change but how society changes. Because you couldn't say bloody on stage, but you could wear blackface or whatever, you know. So it goes to show. Anyway, that was the Unrecorded Jasper Carrott. I hope you enjoyed it. I will be back next week with another edition of Vinyl Comedy Club, and one that was actually pointed out to me on. Someone asked me on. Basically asked me on Twitter this week if I have this, and I do have this. Fun at One. It's the radio one. It'll be backwards for you, forwards for you. It's a compilation album done from a Radio 1 show. Who was it? Paul Barnett, who used to do a lunchtime show, and he used to play comedy clips in between. I remember Adrian Just doing the same thing when I was younger, but he obviously did it first. And it's a compilation. It's got Woody Allen on. It's got Peter Cook, Dudley Moore, Shelley Berman, Morecambe and Wise, Jasper Carrott again. It's got a bit of Round the Horn on it, The Blood Donor, Carl Reiner and Mel Brooks, Natural Foods, which Carl Reiner sadly passed away recently. Who else? The Bickersons, a clip from The Bickersons. Ronnie Barker's Mispronunciation, which we played the other week on this show. Alan Bennett, The Glums, and things like that. So Strange mixture, but I'm sure it'll work. So yeah, that was that. If you've got any comments to make, please do make them below in the section on YouTube. And follow me on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. All the links below. And make a donation if you can. PayPal things down there as well. And subscribe to this YouTube button. And apparently hitting the bell, that's important now. Not just subscribe, you've got to hit the bell as well. I don't know. You can follow me on Twitch and get this live every week at 4 o'clock on a Sunday with extra bits as well. So there you go. And talking of extra bits, I'm going to say goodbye to you now. Thank you for watching. I'll be back next week.